All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, as always, we're going to start off by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakorash. And double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well where we learned this truth from. And may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon the hopeful elect that believe on this truth and sincerity. We the brothers from the GMS Cleveland branch, the brother Yabakan.
Brother Aishiar.
Coming back through the spirit, power, and mercy of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And Lord willing, this be an edifying lesson. You know, just want to speak on looking forward to the fire, you know, or looking forward to the furnace of affliction, you know, because we know according to the scriptures, matter of fact, I'm gonna just read it real quick. It's Sirach, the 2nd chapter. You know, we was told to do so. This is Sirach chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And here in these latter days, we have returned unto serving Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah, which is the true names of the Father and the Son in the ancient Hebrew. And as we have returned to serving those names, those powers, and sincerity and truth, we have to prepare ourselves to be tempted to see whether or not we're going to continue to serve those powers."
Yeah, because that's what when James and John had asked to. They was preferring to be on the right and the left side of Yahweh Shai. He said, "You gonna drink it? Are you willing to drink of this cup?" Which that cup represents, like the brother said, you know, that fire that you're gonna go through. Which the fire can also represent adversity. Which adversity means misfortune. You know, it's gonna seem like you having bad luck all the time. You know, you constantly catching hell, man. But it's really to and like the brother about to bring out in Sirach. Got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump down to verse 5. Here's the point. Sirach 2 and 5. It says, "For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity." You know, and we hope to be accepted in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai into the kingdom on the first go round, into his mercy, into the chariots. Because you know the only way to be delivered from the thermonuclear destruction that's about to touch America is going up into the chariots. You know, and only those that's accepted gonna make it. So it says, "For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity." And to be accepted into such, you must go through the furnace of adversity.
Yeah, it's like it's a proving process. You know, you gotta see if this man is really about that life. You know, and that's what James and John, at the end of their walk, they found out to be worthy of being worthy to be called a disciple of Yahweh Shai. So when you go into the word disciple, it pretty much means, you know, discipline. What are we disciplining on ourselves in? Suffering. See, constantly suffering day in and day out. Okay, forming ourselves as if we were Yahweh Shai. You know, because that's what's that? Hebrews 12 chapter. The author and finisher of our faith. Hey, Yahweh Shai was put in the furnace of adversity, bro. You think he tried to get away from going up on that cross, man. You know, but guess what? He did it. And guess what? He received immortality, man. And that's the test that you're going to have to go through if you want immortality. You're going to have to catch hell, man. I remember a brother told me, you know, he broke it down simple. You fighting to be a ruler of the universe, man. That's not an easy battle that you're going to just walk down. You see what I'm saying? You really going to catch hell, man. Got it.
It's the etymology for the word adversity. It says the condition of misfortune, hardship, difficulty, and distress. It says adversity, calamity, misfortune. You know, hostility, wickedness, malice. You're gonna have people hating you, you know, hating on you, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of bad times.
Yeah.
You know, just like Job had to deal with it. Did you have something?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm gonna read this real quick in the book of Job, because Job was a prime example. Matter of fact, before I read that, I'm gonna read this. James chapter 5 and verse 10. It says, "Take my brethren the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience." And of course, we will identify the different prophets written throughout the scriptures. The different men of the Lord written throughout the scriptures is what? Acceptable men. So James is saying what? To take them as an example of suffering and affliction, meaning if you want to see what it looked like to be an acceptable man in the furnace of adversity, to go through the scriptures, read about the different men of the Lord. And real quick, I'm going to go into the word for example. I go into it often. It says the blue letter definition is G5262. Outline of biblical usage. It says what? A sign suggestive of anything. It says a delineation of a thing, a representation, a figure, a copy. So when you read about the different things the men of the Lord went through, you know, being on the run from false prophets, being tossed into prison, being put to death by the sword, it's a sign suggestive of something that you may face your damn self. You know, prophets losing their wives, or as you read about Job, he lost all his children, all his possessions. It's a sign of suggestive of what you may have to deal with.
Yeah, I remember that Jake had came up to camp. This was like a couple weeks ago, and he was pretty much saying, "I want to be a teacher." Well, you got to know what come with that. You making your life a sacrifice. That's wrong with the 12th chapter. You know, you pretty much giving up everything to serve Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You gonna drink of that cup, which that cup represents, like the word you brought out, adversity, distress. But it also goes deeper into it when you go into the blue letter, when you go into that word cup. I think that's in Matthew 20. You know, but I got a precept. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse 1. But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of the Most High, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise they seem to die, and their departure is taken from misery, because we really don't. That misery goes back to what? Adversity. Always catching hell. You might lose your job. You know, you might lose your car, your home. All right. And guess what? We still got a smile on our face when we do these things. But these people be like, you know, this guy's just. That's why it says, think it not strange, the fiery trial, which is to try you. You know, these people just look at us like this man's a fool. He you know, ever since he's been in that black Hebrew Israelite cult, he just don't give a fuck about anything anymore. You know, he might as well just. Sometimes they want us to just off ourselves, bro. But we still push, bro, because that's part of this walk, man. It says, and their going from us is to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of man, yet their hope is full. Yet is their hope full of immortality. And having but a little chastised, they should be greatly rewarded. For the Most High proved them and found him worthy for himself. Now that test being proved means to be tested, man. And it's all about your faith being tested in this thing. Because when Yahushua come back, he said, was he going to find faith on the earth? And is he? It's going to be scarce, but he's going to find it, because the elect will have it, man. And everything we go through is really to boost up our faith, man. All right? You catching hell constantly. You've been out of job for 6 months. You thinking, oh shit, man, the Lord dealing with me, he about to destroy me. No, he just building up your long suffering, because when Jacob's trouble come, brothers is gonna be without a lot of shit, bro. You see what I'm saying? We gonna have to deal with it. All right, you got it.
I'm gonna read this in Job. It's the book of Job, chapter 1, and starting at verse 6. It says, now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them. And the sons of the Most High in this context is speaking of the angels in heaven. And that just goes to show you that Satan is one of those angels. Okay, he didn't rebel against the Most High and was cast down into hell. No, he still goes before the Lord and receives commandments. So it says, verse 7, and Yahweh said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Meaning what? He was moving around. What is his job to do as he goes to and fro? To cause chaos, if you will, to bring adversity,
to destroy your faith. That's why Yahushua said Satan has desired to sift you as wheat. But guess what? Yahushua prayed for us. Yep. You got it.
Because you sift wheat by shaking it up. So that's the job of Satan, to shake up everything upon the planet Earth, and mainly aiming at the elect of the nation of Israel, because that's what Job will represent. You know, it says, verse 8, and Yahweh said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth the Most High and escheweth evil? And guess what? The elect fall into that same lot, because the Lord knows which spirits was first created and handpicked from the beginning to fulfill the lots of the righteous, of fearing the Most High and escheweth evil, from departing from the ways of Babylon, of America, of westernization. And them the same spirits that he go present to Satan. Like, did you try these spirits yet to see if they is gonna stand fast? In verse 9 it says, This saying answered the Lord and said to Job, Fear the Most High for naught. Has not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. And I'm going to read that in NLT. It says, You have always put a wall of protection around him and his home and his property. So it's the same thing that applies to the elect here in these latter days. Lord willing, we are part of that number. The Lord is protecting brothers' families. He protecting brothers' houses, brothers' possessions. And that's not to say that he gonna protect it all the way up until the end, because he didn't protect Job's children, his substance, all the way up until the end. Because it says, You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. Verse 11, also in the NLT, it says, But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. That's where that's why you hear apostles, elders, and brothers say the Lord placed a bet with Satan. Because Satan is telling the Lord, if you remove that hedge, that wall of protection, you take away everything he has, I bet he gonna forsake you. And it's the same thing applies to the elect. The Lord is gonna eventually allow Satan to take things from brothers, take family members from brothers, take even certain brothers' lives, all to see if they go forsake the Lord. But guess what? The Lord know that they not gonna forsake him, but yet they must go through that furnace of affliction.
Because that's how you build integrity. You see, which integrity, I'm gonna look that word up real quick. Because this walk is about integrity. You know, when you feel like you down and out, you know what I'm saying? When you feel like the Lord not hear you, but you still having faith, that's integrity, man. You see what I'm saying? Because it's easy to fucking quit, bro. You see what I'm saying? You see a lot of sellouts in Israel, they just fucking gave up on the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua and doctrine for riches, man. All right, carnal riches that's gonna be melted, man. It's easy to do that, bro. But for the elect, they not gonna do it, man. All right, the elect have the most integrity on the planet Earth, man. Integrity means innocence, blamelessness, chastity, purity, right? Soundness, whole, complete. Once again, blamelessness, correctness. It says perfect condition, man. Soundness of moral principle and character, right? Entire uprightness or fidelity, which means faith, man. All right, and that's the attributes of the elect. I know the Apostle Bar had did a lesson on the attributes of the elect. I don't know if integrity was on there, but this is one of them too, man.
That was the first one.
God, see, there's a spirit. So sounds of moral principle and character, man. Now when you go into the word character in the 1 Peter, I'm gonna start at 12. 1 Peter 4:12. Beloved, thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial which should try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. So when you go into the word fiery trial, it has the word character in it, right? And it says a burning, right? But figuratively, it says by a figure drawn from a refiner's fire, calamities or trials that test the character, right? So these things are going to test your character, okay? Who you are as a man, okay? If you really believe on the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? It says character means the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual, right? You got it.
And I got a quick precept, because that those principles, that character, that's what's gonna lead you to the chariots. When you catch a hell, when your woman that took the C-hip, she taking the children to get the C-hip, and they trying to turn you in, it's gonna be your character that prevents you from submitting, from falling a victim to that vice. But this is Proverbs 11:3. It says, the integrity of the upright shall guide them. So in those times, because integrity also goes into being pure, goes into being sincere. I'm gonna read it in a blue letter real quick. The Hebrew word is H8538. The Hebrew word is thamah, which of course it says integrity, innocence, but it's the feminine way of saying tham, okay, which is what? Integrity, completeness, and it goes back to thamam, which is to be complete, be finished, be at an end, which is the same word that's used for being sincere and being pure. So the purity of the elect, the sincerity of the elect is what's going to guide them through all the different distresses and misfortunes that's going to be coming back to back to back. It's not going to be one thing. It's not just going to be two things. The Lord going to keep on sending tests your way. When you read about what happened to Job, he had one servant come tell him this happened, and right after that, another servant came and said this happened, and right after that, another servant. So it was back to back hell. But it says, Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. And perverseness, it goes into you being warped. Okay, you being distorted, meaning what? You tainted, you're not pure, you're not sincere, you don't have no integrity. And those that are such, it's going to lead to their destruction. But on the other hand, you're going to have the elect being guided by their integrity. You know, just as Job was when his woman, when he was catching all the hell, what did his woman do? She was being a demon. She like, why don't you just curse the Most High and die? His integrity was like, hell no. His integrity guided him away from that.
Because ultimately he knew the Most High, like it says in Isaiah 45:7, he created good and evil. So the Lord was behind all of that. You see what I'm saying? The Lord wanted Job to recognize that it was Job didn't do nothing wrong. You see what I'm saying? It all go back to a bet. But in this times, we know that we did something wrong and we worthy of death, man. We seeking mercy from Yahweh by Shemiah Shai. Even though we teach these lessons, we go out there and preach, and we tell our people to repent. What's coming to Babylon the Great in the world, we not exempt from what's coming on this planet Earth, man. But guess what? If we stick and had this faith, we're going to be delivered. We're going to be on those chariots, man. Looking down at you people burning in this lake of fire, man, which is the United States of America being pelted by thermonuclear missiles, man.
You got anything else?
No, that was it.
We close this. It's James chapter 5, verse 11. It says, behold, we count them happy which endure. And another word for happy or a synonym would be blessed. You know, which endure means to bear whatever misfortunes, to bear your cross ultimately, regardless of what it is, what it consists of, to put up with it unto the end in order to be saved. So it says, behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job. Patience goes back to suffering. How do you hear about the suffering of Job? By reading about it. It says, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy. And that's the point. The end game of the suffering of the elect is for the Lord to have mercy on them, to be pitiful. You know, which that's what he did with Job. He took away everything from him, and then after he endured it, after he suffered being without it, the Lord restored it unto him 100-fold. And the same thing gonna happen to the elect. So Lord willing, we hope pray this is edifying through the Spirit. In close, we go give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakodash. And double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule and teach where we learn this truth from, and may peace, mercy, and blessing be upon the hopeful elect that believe on this truth and sincerity. Till next time we say, Come Yashala.
Come Yashala.
The Bible boy.
The Bible boy.
So